All right, guys, welcome to episode number 76 of the BS Machine. I am Tommy Kennedy and I am your host for this epic episode. I've got such a cool guest on the episode today, and I've actually, his name's Chris Cannon. I've known Chris for such a long time, and he's such an inspirational dude. I reached out to Chris because I've seen him do. I've known Chris for probably, I don't know, maybe 5 years, and I've always looked up to him. He always does stuff that everyone thinks about, and then he actually goes and does it. And the more I learnt about Chris, the more I realised how unbelievable his journey has been in life. And one of the things that I learnt about Chris is that he used to be like a full tubsy, and he made the choice to get himself ready, and now he owns an unbelievable gym that just creates such a really cool community. He's created a community around this gym. It's called Life Hub. So if you're listening in Melbourne, you probably have heard of the Life Hub community. And Chris is also an ambassador at Lululemon, and he does all these really cool things around town. But I'll let him come in and tell us all about it. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chris Cannon. Chris, welcome to the BS Machine, mate. Honoured to have you on.
Brother, thank you. I think it's been a minute coming, so forward to it, and let's see what we roll with.
Love it. So, Chris, I mean, you know what? That one of the things that I love about you, and just an observer from the outside looking in, is that you are definitely, as I mentioned before, you're definitely that type of guy that thinks about something and then you actually do it. But you don't just do it, you fucking succeed at it. Everything that you put your heart to, you succeed at. So is that just a natural thing, or what does that actually come from?
Definitely not a natural thing, eh? Like, I think it's a bit of a systematic approach that's been refined over time. So, as I said, I was a little bit overweight. At
What are we
that point,
talking? What are we talking? A little bit overweight.
I dropped 40 kilos.
Wow.
I dropped 40 kilos. And that was just, I guess, a moment where I decided, made that decision, and then put in place a plan. All right, cool. Seek help, do what I need to do, put in place a plan, and then just follow through on the plan. Like, everything for me, I think you've seen me running lately, prepping for Team Ironman and so on and so forth. So I've got about 6-7 weeks notice, go, all right, cool. Can you do this? And I was like, all right, cool. If I break that down into small incremental pieces, I can do it, right? So everything I do is about, like, cliched lines. A goal without a plan is a wish. A goal without a deadline is a dream, right? So, when we have these dreams, we have these visions of the future, and then we sort of write that shit down and make it a goal. And then from there, when we actually create a fucking plan of small, implemental, incremental actions, that's when, I try to make it so fucking small I could slip over and still get the shit done. You know what I mean? To make sure I get the result at the end of it.
Yeah. And on that, I really want to hear about how, well, even before you decided to lose those 40 kilos and get rid of them, can you tell us where were you at mentally, physically? Like, were you one of those guys that was going home drinking, 10 beers a day and stuffing your face with sugar, or what was the lowdown when you were in that stage of life?
I often say, like, weight, not often say, but, I believe that weight's often a symptom of, like, a lot of emotional stuff. So I was eating my emotions, I guess growing up being always a little bit different, like in skin and color, and the way I kind of, I guess, went about things, being a little bit different, like, makes you, I guess, I felt insecure. As a kid, all you want to do is fit in. And when all you can do is stand out, it starts to, bring up your emotions. And then I was essentially eating my emotions until the point, I'll be really honest. It was actually a house party, and I got in a fight. Okay, and the guy was a bit older than me. I thought I did pretty well. Listen, I don't get that fighting, I don't get violence, but this happened. All right, we were drunk, we were having fun until we weren't having fun, and we got broken up. The guy said, "You fat black see you get the idea."
Wow.
And he just kept going, and he just kept saying it. And then at that point, I'm like, you fat blacks. Okay. I'm like, okay, cool. The race stuff, that's ignorance on his behalf.
Mm.
I don't have the power to change that shit. No, I'm not going to change that shit. But the fat thing, that was really hurting me. And I'm like, wait a sec, I can do something about that. And at that point, I decided nobody was going to call me a fat whatever ever again. You know what I mean? So I just kind of made that decision at that point, and that's a creative plan. Went for it.
Just went for it. And so I'm assuming that before then you would have had this mental narrative going on, and you would have known that you're a fatty and you're carrying too much weight, but so that narrative was constantly going at that point.
Yeah, man, definitely. I often say my weight was a prison of my own making. So that was, it was a cycle that was perpetuating. Like, obviously I was eating my emotion, but then that was further, I guess, exacerbating the condition. And it just kept rolling through until I decided, I guess, to break that cycle. And I feel so fortunate to have had that journey, because that has sort of transferred to so many other things where, you have these goals, you have these targets, and you can sort of break it down. And, I guess that gave me the confidence to try on bigger challenges.
Yeah. And did you, just out of interest, have you seen that guy again? Because he would have been like, right now, you'd probably go up and hug him and go, dude, thank you so much for.
And funnily enough, it was like, I guess the first thing when I went to go lose weight, I actually started in fighting, and I was like boxing, kickboxing, and stuff like that. So when he had met me, he found out about it all, and he saw that I lost the weight, and he found out I was fighting pretty seriously and stuff like that. I think he was a bit like, oh, here we go. And I literally did that. I like shook his hand, brought him in, and gave him a hug, and go, yo, because of you, I made that change. I mean, not the most positive, start to that or that relationship, but we were drunk, young hooligans.
Yeah.
But coming beyond that, it was definitely, pivotal. Like, it was a pivotal moment for me, and I like to think a lot of those kind of really, I guess, those adversities, the hardships that I've had in my life has shared such like vital lessons that have been like, once again, instrumental in my success over the time.
Yeah. And what I sort of find because every cat and dog is a fucking life coach or a personal trainer or whatever. And what I find, what I love about you is you can tell that you actually come from experience, where when people don't come from experience, you're just like, do you know what? I don't actually believe what you're yapping on about. But with you, you actually come from experience, and you can always tell when someone comes from a place of pain, and they've transmuted that pain into power or pain into fuel. It really makes an impact on so many people's lives. And even back then, when you started fighting or whatever, did you ever even remotely think that you'd end up owning a gym and creating this huge community and being ambassador to all these global companies and whatever else?
No way. It wasn't even a thought. Like it was like kind of never I guess what I felt my trajectory. I was kind of always more brains than brawn, and that's been an asset for me as well, because I've been able to really think through the way that we go about training, nutrition, mindset, and so on with a systemized approach. But and then kind of going back to my industry, and definitely not lagging on them, but a lot of them, were the jock in high school, right? And it was a natural kind of evolution for them. But, it's hard to know, how to work through these things when you haven't had that struggle, right? It helps a lot more when you've had that struggle, whether it's weight, mental health, and so on and so forth. Because obviously you've had to uncover tools to help yourself, and a lot of time it's to help ourselves first. And then we become so fucking passionate about how that's transformed us and our lives that we just want to share it, right? We'll share it for fucking free. It doesn't matter, right? We just want to make sure we can have that impact and pass that forward to see those changes within others, and see their whole perception, the way they look at life change, right? So that's something that's kind of super, I guess, close to me. And I do believe a lot of the best coaches, a lot of the best trainers, have been through shit, right? Like that's what kind of really ignites that fire. I'd say that to a lot of people who are even going through their own shit now and those adversities. It's like, sometimes it's there's things that you need to let go of, but sometimes you need to lead into them as well. And, kind of work through that shit, because that's where, the most vital lessons and the greatest passions, I believe, come from.
And when as you're talking, I reckon there would be, especially guys, like, I mean, everyone will get a lot out of this episode, but I know so many guys in their 30s, 40s, 50s that are constantly going, yep, I'm going to start my journey. And they start it and they fucking stop after a week, 2 weeks, a month. And I know my listeners pretty well. Like, I know the genre or the type of people that listen to the BS Machine. And I definitely know there's a bunch of people out there listening to you talk right now that would be in that place where they know they've got to change shit up. And that narrative has been going on in their head for so fucking long. And they've failed every time they've started the process. And they're listening to you talking and they're like, yeah, you know what, he's done it, but it was easy for him, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
Have you heard much of like behind motivations, pleasure and pain, the pleasure pain principle?
I have,
yeah,
but
talk
to us.
Bit. So essentially, the time that I decided to lose weight, there was more pain in staying the same than the pain in taking action. Okay, there was more pain when I looked at everything in my life and I looked in the mirror. There was pain. Yeah. Now, if I then look at that and go, there's pain here, there's pain in the life that I have today, and there's pain, all I can see in the future is pain, right? If I stay the fucking same, right? Then if I go, wait a sec, now I take action, I get out of bed. Yeah, that's a short-term pain, yeah? I go out and bust my ass in the gym. Yeah, it's a short-term pain. How do I feel after that? Wait, I start to feel pleasure. I start to feel more pleasure in my day. And then there's a momentum that builds when I take in these short, because okay, if I don't do anything, like, yeah, and I take it as short-term pleasure, like I eat crap, I sleep in, and then I live in this discomfort of pain in my life, right? There's a short-term pleasure to a long-term pain, right? Or I bring in this short-term pain, right? I go, all right, I'm going to get out of bed. That's painful. It's cold, right? I'm going to say no to that and yes to this. I'm going to bust my ass and train. All these short-term pain, all right? And like delaying like short-term gratification for more long-term meaningful pleasure, right? So if pain is a part of your life regardless, are you going to live in pain for the rest of your fucking life? Are you going to get it done now? Bring that pain in, knowing that that is the friction, that is a stimulus for your growth. And on the other side of it is more long-term meaningful pleasure that you can fucking live in. And to just keep going a little bit is what we're going to understand. Like, think about like each one of these pain deposits as exactly that, a deposit that gets compound interest, right? They say compound interest is one of the greatest forces of life. So if you deposit $1 today, and that's $1.01 tomorrow, and then that's $0.21 fucking the next day, right? That shit compounds. These are investments in yourself, right? And they're going to be taking short-term pain for you to live a longer, more meaningful, happier life. So pain's a part of life, right? But how long you live in pleasure is completely up to you.
So this sounds more to me, well, obviously it is, but it's good to talk about. It sounds more like a mind game than well, not even a game, but it is. It's all about mindset. So, in terms of mindset, when we're talking about pain, that is human nature, isn't it? That as soon as we look at any sort of tension or any type of immediate pain, all we want to do is run the other way. But really, this stuff is good pain. Like, it feels good, and I guess because you won't see the results straight away. It's one of those things where if you go to gym for 12 hours, you're a fat fucker, and you go to gym for 12 hours, you're not going to see the results in 12 hours, are you? But if you're doing the incremental stuff and you're going for runs and walks and whatever else, and over a month, 2 months, you start to see the weight falling off. So it's about keeping your mindset rocking and keeping yourself elevated. And even just as you're talking then, one of the things I love to start the day with, which is around cold water therapy, and I feel that is such a perfect representation of what you're talking about, because you turn the cold shower on and you're like, oh, just can't. No, I don't. It's 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever, and you're looking at that cold shower and you're like, nah. You get in it, you feel the pain for 10 seconds, and then you literally feel like a fucking warrior within 10 seconds. You get
Definitely.
out, the body's buzzing, and you're rocking it, but
Um,
go.
and you're bringing pain in,
Mm,
right? Like, as in when I first sort of come across, I guess, cold therapy, cold showers. Before I'd done ice baths and stuff, but cryo periodically. But when I sort of made it a practice was, I mean, I'm a gym owner in Melbourne. Yeah, the most lockdown state in the world, right? It's obviously been a pretty crazy couple of years.
mm,
Within that, very early in it, I'm like, wait a sec, there's pain. There's pain in my life. All right, I'm waking up with pain, like a level of anxiety. All right, and cold shower does boost cortisol initially and stuff like that. But I was also like, I'm someone who likes it warm, right? I'm a tropical dude, right? Like I don't want to jump in a cold shower. I don't want to jump in anything cold.
mm,
Yeah. But I'm like, there's nothing more painful to me right now than doing that. So if I can jump into that shower and not procrastinate and not wait, accept that pain. I'll tell you what, every conversation that flowed on, there was no procrastination after that. It's like, yo, I need to do that. I need to have that conversation. That's a bit tough. Let's hit it. Right. I didn't delay any of it. Right. Because otherwise, that delaying, that procrastinating over every tough conversation or thing that you need to do, you're living in pain before it. Right. You're delaying that shit. Remember, like at school, and you'd be like, oh, I've got to study, got to study, got to study. But you're living in pain throughout that time. You're like living on borrowed time, and it's not even comfortable time. Right. Well, if you just go and get the work done, then you enjoy the fruits of labor after. Like, how much better is that? And a great way to kind of, I guess, fast track even that training, because all of this is a skill, right? That training is something like jumping in a cold shower. Don't getting, it's a cliche as well, but getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah.
100%, 100%. So what, if you didn't make that choice and you kept going down the road that you were going down before you lost that 40 kgs, where do you reckon you'd be now? What do you think would be happening with you now?
Pretty big, eh? Pretty big. I think that'd be like, I think a lot of people go through life going, am I feeling my potential? I know I'm someone who asks that a lot. I think I'd just be feeling a lot of feeling like I was falling short of my potential, and that would be quietly killing me day by day. So yeah, I can't tell you, what that trajectory would have taken me. I know I probably would have been bigger because I, probably wasn't getting smaller naturally without me. You're kind of intervening on that. But yeah, it'd be hard to say.
Yeah, and so now these days, do you thrive on discomfort and diving into discomfort, or what sort of fuels what fuels you now? What sort of
Yeah, I'm sounding like this hectic pain guy, right? Like this guy who just is looking for punishment. But that big part of, like, I guess, having goals, and then sort of breaking that into increments allows to make any of that more manageable, and you kind of really know the purpose of it. Yeah, so yeah, I mean that's kind of my approach to that.
So let's talk about that a bit. You're like, when you say, I guess chunk it down to, smaller goals that you can achieve, and even if you fuck them up, it's not going to be a big deal. Yeah. So give us an example of like how you would do that if a client walked into your door, into the gym doors, and either you or one of the lead trainers at Life Hub would sit down with them and go, look, mate, you're clearly, you've got to lose some weight, or, let's get you together. What's some, I guess, small increments that you guys would give them?
Yeah, I mean, if I go out to like a light framework, right? It's obviously goals. What do you want to achieve? Yeah. Someone goes to me, oh, I want to lose weight. All right, great. What does that mean to you, right? And they'll be like, oh, I just want to fit in my jeans. Okay, what does that mean to you? And then it'll come down to like things like, confidence and feeling empowered or feeling like they have control, or so on and so forth. So, all right, great. That's more powerful now. That's like, we got feeling, right? We got intent. All right, so we've got a goal. Now we've got intent. All right, now we need to break that down. How are we going to actually achieve this? What is the timeline? What's achievable? All right, and then how are we going to break that into incremental steps? Now, for somebody who goes, I want to drop 10 kilos, for example, to feel empowered, strong, and confident. We go, all right, what does that person do? What does that person look like? Yeah, this is the future you, but who is that? Right, and they might go, oh, they train 4 times a week. They eat like this. They occasionally don't have 3 serves of fries or whatever, right? We just go, all right, cool. Well, that's that. And we can see that. But at the moment, you're here, all right, and you want to get there, all right? We're not going to become that guy tomorrow, all right, and do all those actions, because it would be like going, oh, I want to run 20K on a treadmill. I'm not just going to crank it to 20. I'm going to incrementally build up your speed. So the same thing here, I need to build up your speed, right? So we'll break that down to the lowest common denominator. For example, if that person's not training at all, I might go, all right, cool, let's get your daily steps in. And what's a small step for you, a step forward, right? So, you know, we might be wanting them to get 10,000 steps, but we might start them at 6,000, right? Or when it comes to nutrition, it's like, all right, cool, where are the things that are falling off? All right, and what small change can we make? Like, okay, every night I need a massive bowl of dessert. I'm like, all right, cool. What adjustment could we make to that? Which might be like a bowl of yogurt, some blueberries, something like that. Something that they would enjoy as well. So it's like a very, you know, small increments.
Change. Yeah. And
generally, we like to confidence test that. So, you know, any change that we add in at any point, I go on a 1 to 5 when that moment comes. For example, getting up and going to train, or, you know, that dessert point or whatever that is, when that moment comes, how confident are you that you can achieve this? Give me on a scale of 1 to 5. Now, if that person goes, yeah, I think I can do it, that's not good enough. Like they're setting themselves to fail, and we don't want anyone to break a promise to themselves.
It's like, fuck yeah, I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's like, you got to be a 4 to 5 out of 5 in confidence. So you're like, that's what I said, you can pretty much slip over and get it done. Like, I need that when that person's in their lowest sort of state of resolve and, you know, lowest state of motivation, that they can just get that incremental step done, because that's going to build momentum, right? Like we need to build momentum on these things, and eventually they're going to be that person who does all those things at the end of that period, or when they're at that goal. But we just need to build momentum, because a lot of people, they just try to do too much too soon. And they fall off, right? Everything needs to be kind of ramped incrementally.
Yeah. And what's just aside from health and all that stuff, what in your experience, what's the biggest mental block that people have with anything? Not even with health or whatever, but what's that thing that just doesn't fucking let us do shit?
Such an interesting question, but I love that question. And my answer to it is knowing what they want. It sounds pretty basic, might sound brutal, but it's like a lot of people will tell you what they don't want, but to know what you want is the most powerful thing. If you got a goal, if you got any direction, right, you need to know what you want. If you don't know what you want, we can't tell you. You know what I mean? So it's just like, if you tell me what you want, we can navigate a way to get there. But if you don't know what you want, and if you tell me what you don't want, that's where your focus is.
100%.
Right? Your focus is on all the negativity in your life. And guess what? You know, it's like you create a perceptual filter. Like, you know, Tommy, you've thought about buying that car. I know you got a Jeep as well, right? Thought about buying the car. Suddenly you see the Jeeps everywhere. They're all over the road, right? You're like, what the hell? Anybody's ever thought about buying a car? Suddenly they create a perceptual filter, and suddenly they're everywhere, right? You're running late to work, and suddenly all you're getting is red lights. You know, you got this filter, and you're just noticing it. There's not more red lights than any other day. And there's not more Jeeps than any other day. We didn't all decide Tommy's getting one, we're all getting one, right? But you create this filter. Now, when people, you know, don't know what they want, but they think about all the things that they don't want and all the things that are problems in their life, they start to bring more of that. They just start to see more of it in their day. And how does that impact their state, their emotion, how they feel? And how they feel is how they act, right? And how they act is the results they get, right? So then they just kind of continue in that cycle. But if we can go, all right, what do I want? What do I actually want? And just journal, write that shit down.
Yeah.
Like, have a real ponder about what you want, because I think that's probably the biggest blockage for a lot of people, because they don't know what they want, so it's very hard to navigate a shit without really knowing the direction you want to go.
Mate, so true, and I noticed that with my clients as well, with my one-on-one clients too, where it's like, you know, when you actually get into that part of coaching where it's like, all right, what do we actually want to create? And they're like, well, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this. And people spend their whole life, their language is about all around the things that they don't want. And then they're fucking surprised about why they keep creating the same shit that they don't want.
Well, definitely. Well, you've ridden a motorbike, right?
Yeah.
Right. What's the first thing you learn when you ride a motorbike? Look at the ground, you'll end up on the ground.
Exactly. Yeah.
Look at the way you want to go, you'll go there, right? So all these people are like wanting to move forward, but they're staring in the rear view. It's a good way to crash, right? We need to look in the direction we want to go. Yeah, so that way we can see the opportunities that present themselves. We can create those opportunities as well. and keep moving forward. So I mean, I'm a big person on like creating a focus and direction I want to go, and knowing, I guess, what I want. I mean, it's good to know what you don't want, but you know, more of it's just not finishing it there. Like it's to be honest, I think of that as like lazy. And I think it's like it's a half baked idea. Like, all right, cool. It's good to like, you know, know everything that you don't want. Great, but now what do I want instead? Yeah, I think people need to finish that. Like, what do I want instead? Yeah.
There's this really cool diagram that I saw a while back where it's like, you know, where your focus goes, energy goes. And when people are, they're wanting more abundance, you know, and they're wanting more, I guess, financial abundance. And they sort of sit there going, you know, the affirmation just like, I'm wealthy and I'm fucking loaded or whatever the affirmation might be, but they don't actually realize that their focus is actually on the lack of the lack of money. So they and they're like, well, I've been doing all these affirmations and da 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 da, and I've been saying I'm rich, but really where it's coming from a place of lack that you don't have enough. So then they're surprised about why they keep creating this whole thing around, you know, not having enough money. Because ultimately you got to have that seed of belief. And when you started on your journey, you know, I would bet my bottom dollar that you knew what you wanted. You were like, you had fuel and you were punching and you were moving through it. And then even with the business, like even when you started Life Hub, like this thing's become massive. Like people all over Melbourne talk about it. Everyone knows the Life Hub community. And, you know, it's like you've created this epic thing out of just a little seed that you didn't even know what it was. And now you're an ambassador with Lululemon and what's the other one? Grenade,
Grenade at the moment, protein bar company, UK based brand. And so when you you know, now that you're sitting where you're at and you've created all these epic things, what is the thing for you where you go home at the end of the day and you put your hand on your heart and you're like, holy shit, I'm so fucking lucky? Like what are the moments that really that where you're just like, wow, like can't believe that, you know? For me, I guess beyond even when I get home, it's being in studio and just seeing this kind of community that is, you know, it's sometimes obviously working even without me. Right? Like when you sort of see like you've created, we'll call it like an organism that operates without you, that's like a really amazing part to create something. And then when it comes home, like I think it's being grateful for this like well-rounded life. You know, I like to think I've just come home to my wife, my 2 kids and so on and so forth. So, you know, I think especially as we get older, we're, you know, trying to make sure we're well-rounded in all ways. For me, it's creating something that's beyond me, that's bigger than me. That's like what I like to think of as like, you know, anyone who works with me, you know, for me, but with me, you know, we've got an interdependent relationship, which means together we could do something bigger than either one of us could do individually. And there's an entity beyond me that's bigger than me that hopefully lasts longer than me. Yeah, that's all we can hope for. And then when I come home, it's just, you know, bringing that back to the family and the kids and so on and so forth. And hopefully they get to enjoy some of the fruits of that labor as well.
Yeah. And you've got you got 2 kids now. You're like a proper dad. Have you started wearing the high socks with the thongs?
No, I'm rocking higher socks these days, but not the socks with the thongs. Haven't fully established the whole dad routine just yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully don't. Yeah, try to stay as cool a dad as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But, you know, we'll see how we roll.
And so, you know, in the future, I mean, where are you going to take this whole thing, Chris? Because, you know, you started something from nothing. And just from an idea and just from, I guess it all grew from that, I reckon from that moment where you decided to change your mindset, to change your body. And like right now, what would be the thing that if you could do anything, you know, like if you were like a proper like God creator, which you are, which we all are, but what are you doing next? I mean, what would you create moving forward? I mean, yeah.
So a lot of people might not know, like Life Hub's actually my fourth business.
Mm.
So I opened Life Hub in 2014. Um, Life Hub's still coming to its full fruition, and full, I guess, what its ambition was. We're opening more spaces, coming soon, very soon. But with that, it's Life Hub being the place between work and home that makes you better at work and home. All right. It's supposed to be a place to escape, all right, a place to gain clarity, and a place to realize true strength that goes beyond like a workout. I would say today our main currency is training. All right. And every training program that we put out is about progression and sustainability. All right. It's not about just a fad, it's not a craze. Everything is progressive and sustainable. So how do I make someone forever better? Right. Like people know me, know that I've always got fitter. I've always got stronger. From the time that I made that change, I haven't taken a backward steps in my health and fitness. And I've been a coach now for 16 years. All right. That's something I take with pride. As I've got older, I've got fitter and stronger. And I want to obviously impart that on my community. But going beyond training, especially in a world that I feel is getting even more divided and people living through screens and all that, I want a place for people to connect. All right. I want a community of like-minded people. So you can have, within each area, you've got like 200 people that are all driven, that all want to push themselves, that all want to become better. But not just limit that to physical exercise training, because it's a Life Hub training grounds, but a lot in mindset, lifestyle goals. Obviously, we do like lifestyle nutrition coaching. We've got a dietitian, we've got a physiotherapist, stuff like that on board. But continuing to create, development and connection opportunities with our communities. And that's, as the brand expands, it's just going cool. Because, with that, you have more leverage, right? So you can bring in, I've actually got Kat John coming, in May to do a workshop, and obviously we've worked together on different workshops and bringing in different speakers, different people. This weekend we've got a movements fundamentals, so going through, really like technique, breath, bracing, feet position, how to get optimal activation, and express more maximally when it comes to lifts. But it allows more opportunities to create a development space. And that's what like Life Hub is. It's the currency is group training, right? Progressive group training, and I like to think training done right. But beyond that, it's about creating a 360 development space for people to have like a catalog of different things, and for them to pick the tools that fit them, whether it's breath work, whether it's meditation, whether it's journaling, whether it's goals, whether it's like nutrition, lifestyle, sleep, stress, self-care, whatever that is. I want them to have those things available to them, especially in a community where they kind of know each other, so they feel supported. And it's people speaking from the same language, same book, which I think is really important. When people can feel so disconnected, when you find a group of like-minded people that you can have deeper conversations beyond the bullshit, like what did you do, or how many drinks did you have, or whatever. But it's like, hey, cool, like let's go deeper into this subject. I'm experiencing this, and us having the tools to be able to facilitate those conversations with each other, and obviously those tools for ourselves as well, so we can make self-care and our own sleep, stress, and so on a bit more of a priority. That's, I guess, the vision of it. That's something that we're just continuing to see through.
So cool, man. There's so much, I can tell there's so much going on in your head, and you're just like, just getting it out to the world is going to be, I'm so excited to see where you take it. And you know what, I just reckon when I look out at the world at the moment, there's a few things that I really notice. One is it scares me how asleep people are at the moment. It fucking scares me, because I feel there's certain moments where I feel myself totally like almost hypnotized by all this shit that's happening in the world. Obviously, we just went through COVID and wars and this shit, that shit, and more now than ever that I've noticed that there's such a need for people to choose to wake up, to choose to do things that actually support them, that bring them joy, bring them happiness. Because there's just too many people that are sort of sitting around going, well, I guess this is my life. Let's just get to where I fucking die, And it is. I mean, I might be being drastic or whatever, but people aren't realizing that they actually get a choice to have powerful days, to experience, all out happiness, all out joy. And they need to, I guess, listen to people like you that have done it, that have gone and done it. And so, I mean, what do you reckon about what's going on in the world? You know, what are your thoughts?
Like, to be honest, I since probably the gym's reopened, I've purposely stopped looking at the news.
Yeah, I have
They've got an
too.
agenda.
Yeah.
We do, like we do have a bias towards negativity, like it's based on our survival, and the news knows that,
Mm.
and they feed into that. So they're going to put out negative information that gets our attention because they can monetize our attention. So, I'm like, you know what? Their agenda's not mine. They're not like helping me feel my best. All right. And so I can perform my best and get the best results. So they don't really have my best interest at heart. So straight away, news is definitely not a way to kind of get through it. The other part, and very early into kind of the pandemic, I heard this piece about like react versus respond. All right, we can sort of say all this doom and gloom is happening in the world, and we can react, and that's going to have an impact on our emotions and how we feel and so on. But there's also how we respond, and it's our ability to respond. Essentially, our response ability. All right. Whenever something comes in, a stimulus, a negative, or whatever, all right, there's a moment like we can react to it. Boom, that's instant. All right, or we can step aside from it and go, okay, that's happening. Essentially, what do I want instead, or what do I want to do, or what what does that mean for me? But I think it's just having that sense of awareness and just stepping back of it, and not just, I guess, go. News is making you feel bad, or do you think you should keep digesting it? Like, do you think that's really great for you? I think it's just having that awareness of, okay, what's making me feel good? Well, like, what's empowering me? What's disempowering me? And then making those better choices, or taking responsibility of the information that you consume, so you can have a better control over your emotion in any one moment, so you can take better actions moving forward. Because a lot of people, like, they get crippled by it, right? And that's what happens. Stress. I said the news has an agenda to have us look at that, and they'll sell us bad news. But unfortunately, we'll go super simple into the brain, but obviously we've got like amygdala and your prefrontal cortex, your front, right? Blood, like all the thinking and all your logical mind stuff comes through your prefrontal cortex, the last involving part of the brain. But as soon as you get all stressed, the blood goes into your amygdala and you run like an animal, right? You're instinctual, you're suppressed, you're dumber, it's fight or flight. So people are trying to get through their days. They're putting this news in, they're getting all jacked up and stressed, right? And then they're not able to think right. So then they're not able to, do the things that they wanted to do. They got to seek just comforts and hide. So how do we pull ourselves out of that?
Yeah. The last episode before this one last week, I did a full episode on about being an observer and finding that center of you're either hiding from life or you're pushing too hard, and being able to bring yourself back to that center. And that center is really this ability to observe yourself when you're being triggered or when you're being drawn into somewhere where you don't want to be. And it's so cool when you can have that awareness, just like you said, to when you are being triggered or when you are being drawn in, just to pull back and go, all right, all I'm going to do now is just take a breath. I'll feel my body, I'll feel the breath and see what's going on. And then get involved in that situation in the way that you should front up in your true and natural nature, your true and organic nature. But this whole reactive response is too easy, just to keep reacting.
I mean, it's natural, it's innate, right? So everything I'm saying, it's I'm saying it like it's easy and like I'm all knowing, but I'm absolutely not. And I'm definitely a work in progress, right? Everything I'm talking about, all that stuff, right? It comes from my own adversities and struggles, right? They say you can't see the forest from the trees, right? When you're in it, or like, when they first teach you about like say anxiety, right? Someone might not know that I suffered PTSD for a period. I was on Zoloft, SSRIs, and a big part of my journey was taking myself off medications and training my brain to create focus in the right direction, and so on and so forth.
And now, what was the anxiety from? Was it just a thing, or do you feel?
No, that's fine. Yeah, I'm open book, man. But my wife's sister took her life. So there was a chain of events, and I'm not going to go too detailed, but there was a fair chain of events following that as well, which were pretty full on. And I ended up suffering PTSD, coming through that. And medicated. And I felt like when I was on medication, I felt suppressed, to be honest. I felt like I was dulled. I always knew I had a fast, busy mind. But at that point, like I'm like, this mind's getting dulled, and I was losing my motivation, my ambition. So that became, I guess, part of my mission to sort of take myself through that and learn how to focus my mind in the direction I wanted to go, so I could bring myself off those medications as well.
And was that through meditation, or what was your tool of...
It was a toolkit, and even today it's a toolkit, and it's a bit of like figuring out at which point which tool fits best for the, I guess, specific task or ailment at that point. So I mean, I go between meditation, journaling, and like cold therapy and physical movement. Like that's like where I move, like where I'll go. So cold therapy, sometimes if I just need to shock myself out of it and just go, all right, let's go. Okay. I'll use physical movement to get, like, when you've kind of got that anxious energy stored in you, right? And I go to move it out, because, people sort of forget, like, their physiology can impact their emotional at any one moment. Like every time you feel calm and happy and great, your breath is slow, right? Your breath is slow. Your heart is like slower, right? Your breath is long, your heart is slower. So the cortisol and stuff naturally goes down, right? Then meditation allows me to shape and focus my mind, right? And also, bring that back to my breath as well. Breath work as well I use, but we go with the meditation. It allows me to kind of create that focus, yeah? Because I'll sort of go, I'm trying to meditate. Oh, fuck, I'm over here. I'm stuck in this thought. Okay, that awareness piece to go, wait a sec, I'm trying to do this and I'm over here, and bring myself back to the point that I want to be at, right? That's that practice as well. And then journaling, I was even just talking to my wife before about this. I think journaling's probably one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful piece, I believe. I think it's so underrated. I think breath work, meditation, cold therapy and all that are fucking powerful, but I think journaling is just so simple and basic and so accessible to so many that I just feel like some people aren't trying it who really need to. And what I said to Beck before was the beauty of journaling is it allows me to slow down my thoughts so much that I need to write it down, right? Like I can't jump ahead to the next thought. I've just got to fucking sit there and finish the sentence and get to the next one. And you get this opportunity to almost like give yourself a bit of therapy, right? Like, oh, this is annoying me at the moment. What can I do about it? What am I responsible for? What do I have the power to change? What am I going to do about it, right? And you can sort of just guide yourself through it, and these things just pop up to your mind, right? When you give yourself the opportunity, you drop the stress, you drop the pressure, you sort of, you take away, that, and you allow yourself to be a bit more free with it, and just write it down. You can scribble it out again. It's fine. You can throw it out, but sometimes just let go of a bit of that and unpack it. I think journaling's incredible.
Yeah, agreed. When you put pen to paper, and I've done both. Like I've done journaling on my laptop, but I find it way more effective when you actually put pen to paper, because it feels like the ink is like your soul coming through the pen. And and it's got to move slower when you're putting pen to paper. And I agree.
Definitely. And I do both. Like I'll use so every morning I'll start with pen to paper. And it just starts with basic stuff. I might just start with like gratitude. And so sometimes it might be the smell of coffee. It might be the heating. Like try to be really like grateful for the basics. You know what I mean? And then some bigger stuff. It might be a particular staff member who's done amazingly, or someone in the community, or obviously my wife being, an absolute rock star, whatever that is. And then it'll kind of open out from there. But generally starts with paper. And then with that, it'll go into like, what do I want to achieve today? Like, what is the biggest thing? Like, if this and only this thing got done today would be a success. So that creates my focus, going, all right, this needs to get done today. This is my priority. And these are the other things that need to get done. But this is going to be like, if I finish the day, if I got this and only this done, I could call it a success.
Yeah.
Right. That's journaling. Then it comes into, for me, it's like all on the laptop and that, in a very, like the organized system, because I need to write down just everything so I can let go of it, so I can bring my focus on what I need to concentrate on and come back to it, know it's there for me if I want to access it later.
Yeah.
And then it's all in the computer, but that's in more, call it like a work productive kind of manner, while I guess it's a bit more yang, and my writing in my journal is more yin comparatively.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're doing it, and if you're listening to me and Chris talking, and journaling's not a big part of your life, just even if it's fuck, man, even if it's 3 minutes a day, who cares? Just start doing pen to paper. It is such a powerful experience, not an experience, but exercise. And a lot of people go, oh, well, I don't know what to write. Well, fucking write, I don't know what to write. And then start writing about what you don't know what you want to write, and then just keep going.
Yeah.
You know, it is this whole thing of self-observation, self-reflection. The only way, it's not just going to come to you. Not many people are like Eckhart Tolle, where you start seeing diamonds and whatever else, and suddenly you're enlightened. I think most of us, you know, there's got to be a bit of a structure, and all these tools that me and Chris have, or what Chris mainly has talked about on this episode, they're all so effective, you know, and they've changed Chris's life. A lot of this stuff I do as well, and made massive transformations for me. But yeah, Chris, I mean, look, I don't know. I think you're such an inspiration to so many people, and that's the thing, man. Like, sometimes you don't even realize how much you inspire people. You know, you're just sort of going about your day, you're creating, you're doing your thing, but you know, you would have changed thousands and thousands of lives in your little journey.
Thank you, man. It's super humbling. Thank you. I'm literally just out here doing my best.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then and guys, if you want to you know, get into the community at Life Hub, if you're in Melbourne, head down to Life Hub. You guys are in Moorabbin, aren't you?
Yeah,
Moorabbin, and then
opening another one up the coast.
And where are you opening the other one? What, is it Geelong or something?
In Geelong. It's kind of a secret. I guess it's kind of not. So, I think everybody already seems to know.
Already seems to know. Yeah. Love it. Well, the further you can take it, and I love even the name Life Hub. Like, who wouldn't want to rock that? And then what about if you're, you know, because I've got a lot of listeners overseas and whatnot, and even in other parts of Australia. So what about you know, have you guys got like an online platform or something? Or
so when it comes to like nutrition, lifestyle, so you know, it's mainly help with body comp and getting people a better awareness of, you know, how much to eat, what's the right amount, how that makes them feel, monitoring things like sleep, stress, digestion, libido, sleep quality, sleep duration, energy, mood. You get the idea.
Yeah, we
do that all online, and that's supported by a dietitian, and like they'll be assigned a coach, so they can hit us up for that. But if anyone's got any questions, like, obviously you can shoot it through to Life Hub. You can shoot it through to my Insta, and I'm sure Tommy can put a link.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely.
DM me. I'll always happy to have a chat. Yeah. Obviously I'm passionate about this stuff. I'm probably ranting and talking a million miles an hour.
No.
But I just get passionate. I've probably dropped too many F-bombs already.
No, I do.
It's so, you know,
not at all.
But, you know, I'm just pretty passionate dude, and I'm always happy to help.
Oh, so, mate, it was so good to have you on. And you know what? Even I think we just did like a 2.5 hour podcast in 45 minutes or whatever. No, we covered a lot. It was so good to have you on. Is there what would be a parting words to the Chris Cannon, the master Chris?
Oh, mate. Keep it simple, yeah. Like, as I said before, it's like, know what you want, go out and get it. Like, I think that's the most important. Like, stick to that. Like, know what you want, go out and get it, especially through these crazy times. Switch off the bloody news. It's not good for anyone. And the last one is like, I think it's something that's coming up for me at the moment is like, we didn't even really touch on it too much, but sleep is so damn important. So anyone who's looking at body comp, you know, fat loss, you know, mental health, so on and so forth, the health of any ailment, if you're not getting 7 hours of sleep per night minimum, like, let's just focus on that first, and buzz me after you get that one done.
7 hours, I like it.
Minimum.
Yeah. Love it, man. Chris, so good to have you on. Thanks for coming on, man. Absolute honor. And yeah, I'll put all the notes on Chris into the podcast notes. But otherwise, Chris Cannon, bam.
Legend, bro. Thank you, man.
Cheers, dude.